This potato came in a bag of russets today. Can you see that? And I don't know what it is, but I saw this today and I was like, you know what? Everything's gonna be okay. I call this recipe the fun size quesadilla. But reality is, if you have a good size family, every recipe you make basically is fun size. You know, thinking about that a little different though, if you like to save money, meal prep, or even like the host, fun size is probably a common adjective you search for in Google when looking for meals. Considering a recipe like this one, I anticipate a good question would be, Andrew, how do I scale this deliciousness? To answer that, let me sidebar a little bit just to, paint some perspective, and I'll rope the question right back into it. Most of my recipes are made for families, considering, I need to make food for everyone in the household. Also, with my family, the next day, it is like habitual that someone is going to want dinner for lunch. Therefore, I always cook with intentions for leftovers. This massive quesadilla, I slice into 12. When the 4 of us are done, we will typically see somewhere between maybe 3, maybe 4 leftover slices. So if your team is smaller than that, or maybe you're a lone wolf, you can scale one of 2 ways. My go-to scaling method is 100% the freezer. The fact that you have a time machine that you can slow down or even stop the aging of food is just incredible. To some folks' detriment, I completely get it too, but you might have like a whole grocery store in your freezer. That's another topic of, how to manage your freezer and or your food supply. Regardless, just put your extra quesadillas away and plan for the next day. Did I just rhyme? The second method for scaling down is to do exactly that. Just chop the recipe right in half. In the recipe, I'm using a half-size sheet pan. You could either go down to a quarter size or maybe even an eighth and pretty much just be one and done with that recipe, that day. My favorite method is still gonna be the first way, because buying in bulk and or eating leftovers is a great way to save money. But don't be fooled by like the Walmart, 10 of these for $10. I mean, when the price of one of them is $1. The wrapping method on this recipe could get a little confusing, but I actually slowed down that part of the video. So feel free to hit pause or something in that nature just to make sure you get it right. Although the recipe is made with flour tortillas, you can certainly substitute with corn tortillas. And let me tell you how. The corn tortillas, you want to make them very pliable prior to using them. What works for me is always to wrap them in a damp kitchen towel, place that in their microwave, and then I would say about 30 seconds to a minute. Once you do that, they are really floppy, but not good enough for the tortilla challenge. Feel free to mix and match your beans. Just make sure it's a combination that you tasted before though. You don't want your first time to be when you're placing it on the dinner table and everyone's having the same experience at the same time. And it's not a good one. The vegan cheese you can leave out if you don't want. It's not one of those recipes where the cheese is like the glue holding this together. The tortillas naturally crisp up underneath the oven heat, so it's unnecessary to add the cheese if you don't want it, but sometimes I'll do half and half as my family's kind of split. If you haven't already, check out my last video. Not sure why I'm pointing over there. Maybe it's over there. You'll see some really easy dips that go perfect with this quesadilla. This recipe is linked in the description box. And if you're unfamiliar with that, I also have my website that is here in front of my finger somewhere. And there you could just type into the search box the recipe you're looking for. Till next time, believe in good. Peace.